Hi, I'm Ilna.
And I'm Lisa,
And
you're
you're
watching
watching
Virtually
Virtually
East
East
London.
London.
Welcome to another installment of Virtually East London, a show where we take you through the sights, sounds and exciting places in East London and around. Today we are hosted by Mark Crawford at Crawford's Cabins in Chintsa. How are you, Mark?
Cindy, I'm very well, thank you. Welcome to Crawfords.
Wow, thank you, and thank you for hosting us. Lovely place you have here. I have so many memorable visits to this place. And I understand there's such rich history that goes down 3 generations in terms of how this place was put together.
Yes, I'm glad you have good memories here. Yes, I'm a 3rd generation hotelier here. My grandfather moved down to the Eastern Cape in 1964 to the Glengariff area. He was a dairy farmer in Joburg. And then he ran the Glengariff Hotel. This particular lodge was a chicken farm before this. And my grandfather and my father found it in about 1975 and bought it with their siblings. And there was a farmhouse over here and 3 cottages that were used as chicken hocks. And they then converted that into what is now Crawfords Beach Lodge. Yes.
Wow. As a family business, how did each of the family members contribute towards building this place?
Well, if you go back in time to my grandfather, he was very much a people's person. So and my grandmother Joan, they thrived off the energy of people. So people would come to this area. It wasn't well known, and they would just fall in love with them as hoteliers and keep coming back. My father was more the property developer. So he brought his skills in, and that's how he transformed it from a small farm basically into the lodge that we see now with his very creative architecture and building style.
Wow. And I suppose you grew up around the whole establishment.
Yes, I grew up in hotels my whole life, so it does come naturally to me. I enjoy it. I know it is a difficult industry for some people, but for me it is something that I enjoy, so it's a lifestyle more than a job.
Wow.
Yeah.
And one of the interesting things I read is discovering that it's not only a family business for you, but also it has been a family business for most of your workers here.
Oh yes, yeah, you know, if you think about our staff, they all come from the farm my mother grew up on, and she brought them here, and their kids worked for us and their kids are now working for us. So there's 3 generations of staff we have here too. Lena, who was my mother's nanny, was our first chef here, and she taught our chefs to cook, who've then taught the next generation of chefs to cook. So it's very much a family-orientated style of business. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. With that, we'll be speaking more to Mark about the scenery. I mean, this place is awesome. The nature, the connections that you get into this place. But before we do that, let's get into our history segment. This is the Port of East London, the only remaining river port in South Africa, situated at the mouth of the Buffalo River. The city was birthed out of a need for a reliable harbour to service the frontier region of the Eastern Cape during the 1830s. At this time, the British military found that the lines of supply and communication between Port Elizabeth and the Albany settlements had become dangerously overextended. In November 1836, a survey was made by John Rex and John Bailey of the Buffalo River mouth. Their report was positive and the area was immediately named Port Rex. But the new province was never annexed to the Cape, and plans regarding the new harbour had to be abandoned. It was during the Frontier War of 1846 and 1847 when the British tried to make use of Waterloo Bay, located near the Fish River mouth, and found it unsatisfactory, that the military authorities ordered a second survey of the Buffalo River mouth. The survey returned a favourable result, and plans for its use started unfolding. In 1847, a post known as Fort Buffalo was built on the west bank of the river. In January 1848, the new governor, Sir Harry Smith, formally annexed the port and its surrounding territory to the Cape Colony and named it East London. At about the same time, Smith decided to establish a second and more substantial fort only a short distance above Fort Buffalo. The new fort was named after the Earl of Glamorgan, Lord Charles Somerset's father. Somerset was the governor of the Cape Colony. The original fort consisted of a looped-holed wall which encompassed the soldiers' barracks, forage stores and stables, a hospital and a cookhouse. The fort was used as a troops' barracks and to guard the supply line to King Williamstown. The original powder magazine was located outside of the fort's perimeter. The British realized that this was a mistake, and a new magazine was built inside the grounds in 1856. The powder magazine is the only remaining building at the fort and is situated about 500 meters from the main gates of the East London Correctional Facility. By the end of 1849, there were at least 4 streets that had been laid out in the West Bank. By the mid-1850s, the village had a population of 124 European settlers and 300 troops. By 1873, 3 villages were clustered about the mouth of the Buffalo: East London West Bank, East London East Bank, and Penmore, named after Lord Penmore, British Secretary for War in the 1850s. On 22 April 1873, the 3 merged into a single municipality. Fort Glamorgan was named a national monument in 1938. The building stands within the Glamorgan prison grounds inside the East London Correctional Facility. Welcome back to Virtually East London. We're sitting with Mark Crawford at Crawford Cabins, enjoying the beautiful scenery and the beautiful place that this establishment, the environment that this establishment offers. Mark, tell me, do you have any memories of you growing up around this place and seeing your parents develop it to what it is today?
Yeah. So obviously as a young child I was playing around here. It was a lot less developed in those days, but the tennis court, the playground, the pool were all here. And then I used to go away for school. I stayed with my grandparents in primary school, but I'd go away and I would come back and my father would have created something new. He was always developing and building it up because there was nothing here originally. So it was exciting for me. Whenever I came home, I always looked to see what my parents had added to the establishment. So yeah, and then, you know, the nice thing when I was young is that the guests, the same guests from when I was young are still coming back today. So there's that nostalgia that we have, you know, that we both talk about. When I say both, myself and the guests, we both talk about our times 30 years ago here. So, you know, great memories, yes.
Interesting enough, I find that we have the same experience. You know, I've come here a couple of times. I remember there was a time when I was coming in and you were developing these...
these rooms here, yes,
rooms,
yes,
you know?
yes.
And then later on, I see that there's more development downstairs. You know, there's always something new. It's like you've kept the momentum.
Yes, well, I don't know if you know this, but my father actually sold this place. Well, my parents sold this place in the early 90s, about 93. In those days, there were the uprisings in the former Transkei area, and it wasn't really a great place to operate in business in those days. So they sold, they left. Then we came back 10 years later in 2003, and we bought. It was all subdivided into different properties in those days after we sold. So it wasn't even running as a resort. So we came back, we bought one cottage, and we revived what we did previously, but from scratch again. So there's been 2 parts to it. And then as we've gone, we've bought the cottages back and we've added to it. And yes, these rooms that you refer to, that is the old restaurant site. But when we bought that plot back, we had this restaurant already in place, so we added those rooms. And thank goodness we did. They're beautiful rooms.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Exclusive. And then how do you keep this place so in touch with nature? You keep building, but it's as if the environment remains undisturbed.
Yeah, you know, the creativity and the architecture is something we sort of, you utilize the actual setting and the backdrop on how to position things, and the sunrise and the ocean and the view. So it's not that we're coming in and say we want something there. You actually got to take a step back and look to see how it'll fit in to give you the most privacy, secluded from the other guests. So while there is a lot of development, when you're staying here, you feel very private. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree to that. I've been, I think there was a year, it's 2018, we stayed in the room up there where you take a lift.
Yeah, the cottage 23, it's the highest cottage, yeah.
We felt like we were the only people here.
That's
how private it is.
Yeah, some people really enjoy staying up there. Great view, obviously, a panoramic view, and when you're up there, you're by yourself. Oh.
And then, what packages do you offer for visitors coming into the...
You know, we have various packages. First and foremost, we're a family resort, so family owned, family run, but we cater for families too. So we have a lot of packages where seasons are kids 5 and under will be free, or in certain quieter times, kids 12 and under will be free. Then the longer one stays, the cheaper the rate gets. So if one stays for 5 nights, they might only pay for 4 and the 5th night's free, or if one stays for 7 nights, they pay for 5 nights and get 2 nights free. There's weekend packages. Then there are also packages that include your drinks too, for the honeymooners and young couples that don't really want to worry about monitoring their bill. And then we also have spa packages that included in the room rate too, for those that want to be treated and pampered by our lovely ladies there.
Okay, wow. And I must say, when it comes to the food, you know, you just have to share with me how you keep that side of things so fresh.
I think the food's it's using good products, cooked with love, but it's just the Xhosas know how to make food taste very nice, I think. Yeah.
A funny story. We were here for a workshop at some point, and they were serving dumplings for lunch.
Yes.
And they were so delicious. I think I just had one too many. So when I went back there, I couldn't even concentrate.
You know, I think that's everyone's problem when they come here. They've indulged too much. In fact, one guest actually told me if I want to save money, I should put a scale in the room so the guests have to weigh themselves when they come. But, you know, one thing we can control is the food. We can't control the weather. So, you know, some things are out of our control, but service and food we can control. So we try and put out the best service and food that we can. So that it is, on a holiday, eating is part of the enjoyment. Well, for us anyway.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, I know I'm going to put you on the spot with this one. But in your view, which are some of the best rooms you have here?
You know, the dolphin rooms, obviously close to the facilities, have the best view. At the moment, I would say the most sought after one is Cottage 15, which is right in front. It's a nice family unit, and it's so close to the ocean that you could throw a pebble into the sea. So that's very sought after. And then for those that like their privacy a bit, the one you stayed in, Cottage 23 and Cottage 18 at the top, where they can be a little, especially if you've got an extended family, when the guys like to spend time playing board games together and catch up with each other after not seeing each other for a while. Yeah.
And I also noticed with your environment, the family-friendly environment, that you also provide a service, a child-minded.
Oh yes. You know, I grew up in the former Transkei with nannies looking after me. It was great because my kids could then, my parents could then work while we played, and I've done the same with my kids, where they're around, but they've also had the freedom to run around and get that outdoor lifestyle that I had too. And for other parents coming here, where maybe they live in an apartment, to have the freedom here of letting their kids run wild and having someone look after them, I think lends itself to the holiday. We also do have 2 swimming pools, so some parents want that adult supervision, just making sure that their kids are safe too. So and our childminders are very good at making sure the kids are happy, and they're very energetic too, more energetic than I am. They chill with those kids all day. Yeah.
So as parents, this is a place to be where you can, just find that break.
Yeah.
You're having to worry about where your children are. Well, we're going to take a little break and go and look at what has been happening around town. We went to the Up-Market function that happened on Saturday the 19th of December. And here's an insight of what was happening there. See you on the other side.
Hi, my name's Lisa.
And I'm Ilna.
And together we run the Valley Recreation Estate, which includes the Twilight Up-Market, which we run occasionally on Saturday nights.
The girls from the valley. Above and beyond, it was absolutely magical. The turnout, the support from the East London people was amazing. The vibe was just spectacular. The can of worms playing, I think it was just that real patio life that we managed to create. It was amazing.
Yeah. The weather certainly played its part as well.
Thank you so much.
And the feedback that we've had from the people who came here was that they felt like they were transported a little bit to a different world. We've got an incredibly beautiful place, as you can see behind you. And the food stores were very good quality, the music was great, but it was just the atmosphere. And so it's just to create somewhere safe that's in nature, but with really good music. We always want to support local artists, but that are of a very high caliber.
And supporting local in general.
Yeah.
This whole project of ours is definitely about supporting local.
It's the local artisans and crafters that present their stuff, their food producers, musicians, and the amount of employment that we've created in doing the revamp and the construction for getting the site ready.
Well, basically, I'm part of On the Summit Lodge and Conference Venue, and we started Summit Lifestyle Event Centre about 4 years ago. I lived in Europe for a couple of years, for about 2.5, 3 years, and my mom managed it while I was gone. And yeah, when I came back, it's sort of after COVID and the hospitality industry basically taking a complete dive. We got this opportunity to revamp it. So we've been here for a couple of years. We've had many wonderful events here, weddings and conferences. Mainly conferences, we specialize in that. But we want to get into the events scene a little bit more. Having weddings, there's nothing as magical as having a wedding under that magic tree of mine. I call it my magic tree. And actually that tree is the inspiration behind the valley.
I think there are some really lovely markets already in East London, but a lot of them are very far out of town, and we want something that is very East London town based. We were planning originally a market once a month, the last Saturday of the month, but we're still going to decide how often we host them. It's not going to be too often. We want to keep it special and fresh. And we will be adding more things onto it. The music's always going to be really important, that it is a really good band or really good musicians, and we're going to change that up all the time. For example, our next event is Saturday the 2nd of January, and we have Laura Michelle, who sings and plays saxophone, doing a duet with another performer. So that's our entertainment there. We've got
and our theme for the second, that is amazing. Seeing that 2020 was a bit of a bad year for all of us, we've decided let's redo this decade. So we're starting this decade over on the 2nd of Jan at the Twilight Up-Market.
So even though it's the 2nd of Jan, it is our New Year's party. Yeah. Let everyone do their private New Year's parties. And on the 2nd, it's a Saturday night. Who doesn't like going out on a Saturday night? And the theme is the Roaring 20s. Yeah. So you're welcome to dress up in feathers and pearls and a bit of roaring 20s, 30s glam, a little bit of old world. The music's going to be matching that. It's going to be Frank Sinatra and classic, that sort of music. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Not essential to dress up, but you're welcome to, and there are going to be prizes for the best dressed. Yeah. So every event not every event, but we're going to add very different flavors to events.
Little tweaks
Yeah.
to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, basically we've decided, I mean, it's all about giving back to the community. It all started with the landlord basically giving us the opportunity. So a lot of renovations took place. So it's not just the construction company, but it's the local artisans, the labourers, everybody that assisted us in creating, changing we redecorated the whole venue inside. Yeah. We built that patio area, the staircase was tiled. It was
play area.
Kids play area. So many families was actually supported during all of this renovations, and we calculated the other day it was more than 70 families that benefited through not just the renovations but also the events. So we are giving back, we are supporting local and basically the local charity.
Yeah, so what we've decided is for each market we charge at the moment it's 50 Rand per car to enter, and 20% of the door takings go towards a local charity. We nominate a different charity. We're about to hand over in the region of 1,800 Rand to helping those in need that work with very impoverished communities in East London. Our next market on the 2nd of January, that donation, that 20% will be going to the furry godmother who works with stray dogs and in Nompumelelo and Mazomple.
Yeah.
And then the third will be, the third nominated charity for the 30th of January is to CMR Victory House that deals with abused women and children. So same with the musicians, every time we're going to nominate a different type of charity, that they receive something from the proceeds of people having a fabulous time, those that have got enough.
Taking on quite a lot. I mean, it was not just planning the market, but we were basically overseeing the construction. And
I think that's it. I mean, at one point we have a regular member of staff here who works on the lands and the grounds. He had a team of 5 casual labourers with him. We had a independent construction company doing work, independent tilers, independent electricians on site, and managing all of that and getting them to work together. I think time was the biggest constraint. You know, we had also 3 carpenters working on the redesign of the interior of the venue, which is everything is based on the tree and how a tree is so connected to the ground but also to the heavens, and how this place is, well, we've called it the Valley Recreation Estate. It's recreational, but it's also for recreation. It's a recreation of the event centre. It's a recreation of my path, working for the landlord, but also having the opportunity to create something a lot more than what I was doing. We've got quite a big presence on Facebook, so if they look for the Valley Recreation Estate, they will find us there. Our email address is info@thevalleyestate.co.za, and through those channels they can get hold of us.
So, apart from keeping the place growing and going, we've also kept it fresh. You've introduced so much. You have a lovely footprint on social media. You also do blogging, which is very different from what other people do. Where do you find the energy?
You know, we're quite plugged into the digital platforms, keeping up with the trends. So yeah, we hire people that keep us on track too. So it's not all us. People that understand social media algorithms and marketing trends. So we you've got to stay in touch, otherwise you get left behind. In terms of our direction, I suppose what I've done is I've gauged people, and how there's been a shift to people focusing on their mind and body. So retreats, relaxation, revitalization, so people coming here to rejuvenate, so we've kind of kept our theme in line with that too. Personally, I just turned 40, and life begins at 40, so I've had a shift where I've gone from being a bit of a socialite to being a long distance runner, and I've changed my eating habits and my lifestyle habits and gone that direction too. So I guess these type of hotels are extensions of your personality as the owner. So as I've had that shift. The hotel's kind of had that shift with me too.
Wow, and with that shift, I see you also moving more towards involving sporting events. I know there's
Yeah, we sponsor golf days. We had our own golf day. There are a number of trail runs that come through here and use us as a stop. The RB Africa, which starts at the Haven, it's 120 kilometers and finishes here. And then we have our own one, the K2C or Car to Crawfords, which is a 34 kilometer grueling trail run from the Carmouth Country Club, and it finishes here. That's done in a day. And yeah, you know, it's a way to attract people from out of town here. You know, they give them a reason to come to Chintsa. You know, it's not a lot of people are vying for their slice of the tourism pie. So we're giving an added incentive by getting those semi-pro athletes to come and tick one off the bucket list and do these runs too. So, yeah.
And what I appreciate about that way of seeing things is that it doesn't only benefit the hotel, it benefits the community around you.
Yeah, well, you know, I think my father taught me that the community involvement is vital. You're not an island on your own. It takes a village, you know, it takes a village to get through things. Even the roads, the potholes, my father fixes the potholes because he says it adds value to the whole area, and then more guests come. So yes, I think if you go right back to the beginning, when we started, there was no town here at Chintsa. You know, my grandfather was here at the resort, and the town came later. So there's always been community involvement and social development.
And talking about community development, there's always young people coming up and doing great things in and around East London. And at this point, I'm going to introduce you to what I think is a new group that comes with a new sound called Can of Worms.
So I'm April Bazaza. I'm from the UK, but I've been here in South Africa for about 11 years. I play woodwind in the band.
I am Chido Chashe Nyamandi. I'm from Zimbabwe, and I'm the lead vocalist for Can of Worms.
And my name's Steve Mazi, and I'm the drummer in the band. Also do a little bit of writing of the lyrics and some of the melodies. I'm born bred East London man, proudly East London. And then we got
Uncle
Dalina.
Delina Mustard
Mustard.
on violin and keys.
Violin and keys. And we got, who's that guy who plays bass?
Uncle James.
Oh, sorry.
Uncle Jim Balls.
Melons.
Yeah.
Yaku
Master.
On guitar, Yaku Engelbrecht.
That's it. Yeah, unfortunately they couldn't be all here today, but yeah,
Are they wrapping our Christmas presents? Can of Worms, the name was just founded quite randomly really. There was no great big story. But the more the band gelled and came back together, it was appropriate that we were a really mixed bunch. And opening up that can of worms was going to happen.
We're all from such different cultures and backgrounds, so it kind of represents like the group all coming together from different places.
There's another band in France called
Can of Worms, a heavy metal band.
Yeah, they're hard.
We have a very different sound to us.
Yeah, they're very different. So if someone's looking for Can of Worms on the website,
They pop up.
Yeah, sometimes they pop up, and then different genre comes in.
Yeah. It's actually something that we struggle with sometimes as well. Because all of our songs are different. We have a very collaborative writing process. So sometimes Steve will come with like a background to the song or a basis or the lyrics, and then everyone has like their own musical input. Or Yaku often comes with a riff that's got whatever kind of feel to it, and then we all put in our musical input. So then everything kind of comes out a bit differently.
Yeah.
So some songs, like we've got songs that are kind of like Afro jazz, some songs are pop, some songs are classical. So it's actually, I would say each of our songs, thank you Steve, has a different genre at the moment. We sometimes use the genre world music, which fits quite nicely with the Shona lyrics as well, and the classical instruments. And Steve plays djembe in some songs, which also kind of, yeah. Yeah.
Chintsa, well, let me first describe what the word means. It means let's dance. It's a Shona word. Since I'm from Zim, I speak Shona. Chintsa is a song that's talking about somebody finally getting, you know, into this whole environment where everything is just manifesting. You know, whether it's music, whether it's your passions, they're finally coming together, and you can't just help but to celebrate. You know, but you're not celebrating alone. You're celebrating with the people that actually share the same vision. How it came about, it was actually inspired by us trying to get into the African vibe, like the Afro jazz vibe. And I remember trying to help Steve get that groove because it comes from a rock vibe. So he's into that rock drumming. So I remember trying, there's actually a video that I took. It's probably on the group. When we're trying to, you know, because Afro vibes has that offbeat. And it's kind of complicated. So in that whole moment of trying to get that rhythm out, the song actually came out, you know.
We've always had a great shows and great feedback, and we have got quite a nice following. So we often see the regulars, and you know, they're from youngsters to grannies, hippies, and everybody in between. So we're starting to get a nice following together. We want to be a happy, feel-free kind of band, you know, with the world being so negative. Trying to keep optimism and yeah, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right.
We're playing next at Tea in the Trees on New Year's Eve. There's a kind of outdoor food festival market there, yeah, in Chintsa West. So we'll be there. There's another band of ours on the another band who are friends of ours called On the Wings of Eagles. So it'll be them live and us live, and then food fests and kind of a end of 2020 celebration, which will be nice. Yeah. And our plans?
Yeah, I think in the new year, I think we've spoken a lot about recording our material because we've got quite a lot of songs, and we need to put them down and get them out there because of Rona being a little bit, you know, there aren't going to be many live shows and stuff. I think it would be lovely to have a big worm family. Where we have someone who's a photographer friend, someone who's a filmmaker, someone who's a writer, and document all this stuff together and be part of the worm invasion. You know?
So we've got our own website, www.canofworms.co.za. We're quite active on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. Our tag is @canofwormsSA. Yeah, that's the main places, hey?
Chila's single, so if any single men out there with numbers 087.
Oh my God! How did you get here?
Just ask how I can get hold of Chila.
I'll take my glasses off.
Okay. So Mark, how do people contact the hotel and make reservations?
Well, we have the telephone 0437385000 that they can call us on, or email. Our website is crawfordsbeachlodge.co.za, and that will list the WhatsApp numbers, and there's also Facebook or Instagram they can message us on. So we're out there. You can get hold of us that way. WhatsApp is a very popular way these days, so people can communicate on the go. If they use data when they're on the road traveling, especially foreigners, they don't always get a chance to check their emails. Although with these restrictions, there haven't been that many foreigners. But yeah. But I would say just check the website or our social media platforms, and that'll be it.
Mark, thank you, and thank you for hosting us. That's it for this episode of Virtually East London. And just remember to click that subscribe button and like us so that you are always updated when we have new content. Otherwise, see you next time.